Hello, everyone, and welcome to round number 3 of our third Casuals tournament. We have moved on to Mars for this round, and I am still here as Blues with PB Head.
I am still here too. Although on my setup we have two blues, but that's okay.
Oh, okay, never mind. So we do have a glass colony this time, normal price glass. A few other prices doubled. Aluminum is interesting this game. Just the one high and a lot of lows.
Very expensive upgrades here. Definitely liking the pneumatic situation here with the aluminum and water. Very easy in one spot and then silicon in the other.
Right, you could even get really mean about things, crush most of the other aluminum patch and just claim the other one.
Well,
A pneumatic HQ has been founded.
pneumatics went down exactly where I suspected they would. Cubes is actually. Well, I mean, who counts as going first there? If one pneumatic HQ is down and then the second goes down while someone else is placing.
I think on this patch it depends on, well, the extra claims that, no, I think it just depends on when the second one comes down on this patch. I think that's getting fixed next patch to where it's the first HQ going down that matters.
Well, Relic was a little bit slow on the button pressing here, I think, but that's fine.
Cubes,
Silicon and water.
Cubes has an interesting scientific spot. He will be getting pirated on the steel for quite some time, I think. Or he should be, at least, with steel starting double. On Eagle.
Yeah, this aluminum situation is kind of hilarious. We only have our kid bringing in aluminum right now, and he's only bringing in one tile of it. So.
Yep. It's
Cubes,
gonna.
of course, is the first to expand. I guess he got the early buy in the aluminum very nicely.
Relic is going to get his aluminum blocked off from adjacency. This is why you take the middle tile if you're only claiming one start.
Yeah. I want to see a second aluminum tile out of Mr. Cubes too, because it's just gonna be painful otherwise.
Right.
Maybe that's just my classic gameplay here, but
Because I don't think Relic will be going for a second aluminum tile. Well, I guess he might return that and go for 2 aluminum in the south or something. That could work out okay. I'm pretty sure Eagle is going to be skipping aluminum, so unless someone makes...
Mr. Cubes ignoring the water tiles next to his base and instead gone to the water tiles away from him. What a meanie.
That's pretty aggressive. I guess when you already have that steel vulnerable to pirates, then having something along a similar lane isn't such a big deal.
Fair enough. Early electronics factory out of in Arcade. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Electronics is the most valuable secondary resource right now, so.
Right, and he would be struggling to buy up the electronics to upgrade without that. But still, carbon is difficult. I think I do like what Relic's doing better with these solar condensers. Oxygen making a lot of money for him there. And carbon also not too bad.
Yeah. A new claim is available for auction. Oh yeah, those are making some money. And Mr. Cubes definitely lost his chance to have adjacent aluminum tiles. Third tile and has created awkward territory for everyone. Yay!
The black market is online.
Luckily for Relic, return a claim still. Being a nomad can be pretty great sometimes. Interesting that we have 2 players already in power. Power never really spiking all that high. So feels like this is just going to give a nice boost to our other 2 players, Ian and Relic, being able to skip power.
Be on level 3, and he has that amazing spot.
A pneumatic HQ has been upgraded.
And there goes the, well, that was a great pirate launch. Whole 2 oxygen because of the nighttime. Hit the absolutely wrong button. Wrong traitor there. Oh well.
A scientific HQ has been upgraded.
Same with Arcad.
Cube's going into some food now. That's going to pay off very nicely.
Relic's already in food, but he's gonna have water issues because, well, his water tiles got stolen.
I'm still not sure that's the right move, but it's definitely a fun move.
Fair enough. And again, more pirates on not the steel, and instead the oxygen and the carbon. Like, I mean, yes, oxygen. Okay, oxygen is higher, I suppose, but
HQ has been upgraded.
you could kill the scientist. Oh, I mean,
The black market
I
is
guess you're
open
worried
for
about
business.
Relic is doing really. And Relic isn't even in the lead. Scientist isn't in the lead, so. Carbon instead of oxygen, right? Versus you could get steel consistently.
I don't really have a strong preference either way myself. I think there's an argument for either. But Cubes is going into glass. Glass, again, this was a glass colony. No one has moved into glass yet, so he has this very lucrative market to himself. As long as Relic and Ian keep silicon reasonable, it'll work. If they start hoarding it, then we have problems.
Inarcades also put down some glass furnaces. And someone just brought an EMP, and there it goes on the glass furnaces. Makes perfect sense.
I'm not a huge fan of Ian moving into the glass along with the electronics, just because he never really claimed all that much silicon. And
Apparently
unless
this is Relic's EMP. Okay, Relic? I mean... Huh.
I feel like in Relic's position, maybe it makes more sense.
I thought this was Inarcade's EMP. I expected, because he's making glass. But no,
I guess Relic is moving into glass now. Maybe it would have been nice to freeze out the food instead.
I mean, it's a bloody scientist, so it's hard to freeze them versus the
Well,
other glass kilns, which are much easier to see and have, a much more compact situation here.
Scientists have lost their EMP and power surge resistance at this point. The reasoning was getting to use ice was enough of a buff that losing the resistance helped balance things a bit.
Good, science was overpowered.
I hate those filthy bandits.
Yeah, for a long time it was just too hard to attack them.
Especially on default. Poor Ian has managed to put all of his buildings right in one corner and therefore has been punished for it.
It definitely didn't need to be this way. Could have shifted the farm over a bit, just have them a little bit more separated. Could have also built more near his other base, though that's a bit cramped as well.
And he is the obvious leader in both stock and debt.
I'm not sure I really like his decision to buy up all his stock right away. There was no one really threatening him. And could have been doing something else. I guess if he wants to deal with his debt, then buying up all his stock first makes sense.
It does also hide the money a little bit.
True.
We have a hard-to-come-by land claim available to the highest bid.
He's kind of hoarding this water, and there's a lot of water production on the map. I think he should probably crash that price right now. Especially while there's fires on it, because it's just funny that. I like cycling some claims around.
Sold.
Can't tell exactly. Right, the farm claims, okay.
Some wind turbines, I assume.
Would make sense. Some sense. Power isn't too crazy, and carbon is expensive, but it's a decent idea. Von Eagle looks like he's going to be picking up teleportation. That's going to make these water claims a lot less of a problem. Definitely always concerned to see this sort of thing without teleportation. Especially when the scientist would have been someone you would expect to compete for teleportation. But luckily he does manage to pull that off. Cubes may be relying too much on potentially getting teleportation. I'm not sure what the plan was. 9 water claims.
The black market is open for business.
Everyone has nice quantities of power right now. And Ian is about to have a debt tick. Oh no! Oh no!
He paid down to sea just in time.
He did go back up to sea just in the nick of time. Beautiful.
Though he is still spending
He's back
more
at now, but,
more on stock than I would like, probably. At this point, I don't think you can really say he's in the lead anymore. In theory, if he sold out of all his stock, he still has the cash plus resources lead, but
no,
he
Von
doesn't
Eagle's
have...
doing really nice. He has this nice little patent lab down, so he's apparently doing nothing.
Right.
Optimization center is ready. Time to start improving everything. A nomadic HQ has been upgraded.
Guess there wasn't a clear plan for the patent lab after teleportation.
Teleportation. And yet he's not even using it, putting his electronics right next to his base. Okay. Those electronics factories should just be strictly anywhere else.
Even just on the other side of his base.
Exactly. Just for the EMP resistance, which are still 4.5k.
Everyone
And the nukes
else.
are dropping down like
New
insanity
building is
here.
available for auction.
Where are all these nukes landing here? Nuke on the aluminum, not very useful.
Congratulations.
Right, especially since Relic is already HQ5. And that's just gonna get returned.
The engineers have advanced our production. The patent lab is constructed. Let's get our
Not
science
nearly as many
on.
nukes. I don't know what nukes I'm landing, but they sure feel like they've been ineffective. Silicon
Our
cores.
methods continue to improve.
There's EMPs for 4K. There we go. Thank you. For those empty tiles, good job.
Was Cubes? Okay, Cubes was using a patent lab. At least someone is using a patent lab. Von Eagle's still not using his.
Is online.
If Von Eagle wanted to use his patent lab,
Relic not using...
financial instruments, probably not. Probably okay.
Yeah, that should be good. 2 players in C debt. Power low.
Yeah, it's also like, okay, there's 3 patent labs down and 2 optimization centers.
One of the
Chemicals are getting
optimizations
real expensive
is...
real fast here. Relic is cycling into them.
Relic's optimization center is inactive.
And
Von
doesn't get
Eagle's
it
hacker
for
array
financial
is
instruments
inactive.
by tokens.
Missed the debt tick.
A nomadic HQ has been upgraded.
He definitely could have gotten it because his patent lab was sitting idle for a very long time. So, oh well.
Oh well indeed. Would have been probably around 10k. Meanwhile, Ian is still the only... No, never mind. Relic has also moved into electronics. He's also getting attacked by Von Eagle. Not quite enough to really finish that off, and I'm not sure what the plan is from here for Von Eagle. Does not have an optimization center, is still not running this hacker array. Don't know where he's going to be looking to get all this money from.
Just
On the other hand, Cubes is pretty far behind, and Ian is
Now
in a lot of trouble of his own.
On the building of your choice.
It's definitely a brute force option, and we'll see if it works out. The stock lot was cheap, you know, from the B bet. You know, does he defend himself, or does he try to get some more cheap stock in Iron? Or does he go for the kill?
I think he just goes for the kill at this point. He doesn't have enough long-term things going his way to drag things out much more, I think. Also interesting,
Teleportation is pretty big usually. But
I guess, but I don't know.
goals here. Water, 2 farms. Water, 2 electrolysis.
What is interesting to me is Ian moving his water into farms straight out there. They are just going to get pirated a whole bunch.
Successful.
Had the option of returning those claims, still has 7 of those available. So he definitely does have more than enough water.
Pirates are already down. You know, with careful management, you can, you know, try to avoid the pirates by sending one early and then sending the other 2 later. But
Right, you can make
they're all
them.
perfectly lined up right now, so that's
The
not
pleasure
really.
dome is completed. I wonder what goes on in
This
there.
micromanaging around those pirates takes so much focus, and there's so much else to pay attention to. Woo, that
And,
financial instruments.
$25,000. Yep, $25,000 to Von Eagle. You know, that's clearly his ticket here to victory. That's an offload launch.
Price manipulations to begin
Not as often as
shortly.
an offload launch, but
I'm not sure I like him buying into that last pip of his own stock, though. Relic would have picked it up for him and saved him a bunch of cash. Also, still not using the hacker array. Or maybe something just finished.
well, it's always good to know that your opponents don't
Is
have it.
open for business.
True. Apparently he has had a carbon shortage and 2 electronic shortages. Which are
It's like a spy
strange.
sink because there's no spies. It's like, you know. Everyone knows there's hacker array. Everyone knows put spies on hacker array, but there's no spies on hacker array. So.
Let the bidding begin.
I'm not sure if Von Eagle noticed that Relic and Ian both have a lot of carbon coming in from their dry ice. Though he has sold out of his shortage, so maybe he has.
I hate those filthy bandits.
Cube's also with a double carbon quarry. But most of that's getting eaten up by chems and pirates.
Oh, so the traced aluminum tile is no longer traced because of slant drilling. Woohoo! Good job, guys.
Although
The
really,
mutiny blowed up, destroyed hacker array that was never working at all anyway.
once you get slant drilling, you should really return this trace tile and or the low tile. Either way, just have adjacency, maybe. You can do that as a Novad.
And Relic can return it. Yeah, Relic put it back to the other one, or just move his tiles somewhere, anywhere else.
Yep.
It's
Either way,
pretty
Relic
pricey, but he has 300 of it, so what's the point?
about to get bought out.
I guess.
Ian and
Why
Cubes.
give your opponent better tiles?
Yeah, Ian and Cubes both have a lot of
that's
money. What's
Could
what-
put your tile like at the very last second you put your tiles in stupid spots if you wanted to. The old what was it, control backspace back from way long time ago?
right before the buildings auto rebuilt themselves?
For those that don't know, in the very early of the build, you could hit Control Shift Backspace or Control Shift Delete or something to destroy all of your buildings in a fantastic fire explosion right before you got bought out, as sort of a haha, you got screw you sort of button. But they removed that because it was nothing but griefing and
Still plenty of other ways to cause grief to your opponents, but we won't get into those.
usually these days it's put down 1 billion pleasure domes. clearly, Ian and Mr. Cubes have a scary amount of money.
The black
But
market is online.
Ian
Von
also,
Eagle,
yeah, Ian also is just so cheap
I
that
hate those
if he
filthy
starts
bandits.
buying in, it's probably not going to hold up at all.
The engineers have advanced our
pretty
production.
good right now with Oxygen being a 45k launch, and no one's even thinking about it, as far as I can tell.
Electronics are expensive, but not that expensive.
But glass is
Right.
cheap, and okay, Mr. Cubes does have 400 silicon, so he might be going. No, that's the wrong race.
Double
What side are you doing with the
optimization.
silicon?
Von Eagle finally moving into an off-world. Probably the person that least needs it.
You know, whatever. I mean, you know.
Our methods continue
Interesting
to
that's
improve.
not under the
black
Goon.
market is open for business.
Guess he didn't want to get rid of his optimization center, which doesn't have
Machines.
anything into electronics, interestingly.
No, Relic has sneaking machines.
Hmm.
And of course, Relic is dead.
AIs love moving into off-worlds.
A D-det tick for NR Kid.
Well, he is
Von
paid.
Eagle is going to get.
Huh. Ian buying a bit into Cubes, Cubes buying a bit into Ian.
I mean, that's just, you know.
Kind of just conceding.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Von Eagle, you could probably just buy whoever you.
No, they're both selling out.
Alright, are they gonna.
Okay.
Alright, yeah. Cubes is. They've successfully teamed up, it seems, against Von Eagle. We shall see if it pays off.
It definitely seems just a bit late. At this point, Eagle picks up Mr. Cubes for too much longer, and Ian just does not have very much money at all. Paid off a lot of debt, and then putting all this money into stock.
Yeah, he's never successfully recovered out of that D bond rating.
Also, never really made any significant late game investments. He did have this optimization center running. Did some work, but a lot into carbon, a lot into silicon. Stuff that's just not going to pay off all that well.
And let's EMP the guy in D-det. Sure, why not?
Well, I mean, as Von Eagle, I think that makes a lot of sense. You're going to buy out Mr. Cubes any minute now. No reason to freeze out your future subsidiary. But always nice to heap more pain onto the person who can't do anything about it.
Comes the launch in 5, 4, 3, 2. Use the button whenever he wants it. Now it's 3 versus 1, and the 1 is indeed at.
Yep.
The black market is online.
It's kind of do. I mean, I was really kind of rooting for Inarcad. I really think his sort of placements of buildings really kind of made him really too vulnerable to those
Optimization routine
EMPs.
Successful.
Yeah, that and I think
That really slowed him down.
he slowed himself down a bit with the silicon as well early, just not collecting quite
Look at
enough.
all the money.
And kind of just stalling out in HQ4, buying up all that stock.
Good point, yeah. It was not needed, and he never paid off his debt to make it worthwhile.
With Cubes, I think the problem was more just being a bit aggressive with all these claims away from his base. Not really going for teleportation as aggressively as he needed to if he was going to be making this sort of play.
It is, you know, and we were just on Io, and on Io, fuel is significantly less of an issue than on Mars. Just because it's a primary resource instead of a secondary resource.
Right. Could always just be that adjustment factor.
Von Eagle can clearly sell out here if he wants and end this button as soon as he wants. Cancel this launch.
Has been a pretty long game, almost up to Soul 11 at this point.
Again. Poor guy. And there's the button. Soul 10. Yeah. So, financial instruments wins the game, am I right?
That was definitely a big part of it, but let's see. 66k off of that. Almost 67.
It's about a 10 times turn on investment or so. Relics big as my sink was apparently chemicals. That's hilarious. How is that even possible? Did they nerf like life support costs or something while I wasn't paying attention?
No, they